Tonight, a drug bust in Whyalla Playford, 11 cannabis plants seized, and the record smashed for the almost 500-kilometre York Trail.
From our 7 Spencer Golf studios, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. 11 cannabis plants and production equipment have been seized during a major raid in Whyalla Playford. A 45-year-old man has been reported for trafficking and cultivating the drug, while local police are urging community members to dob in a dealer.
A win for the fight to get cannabis off of our streets. Cannabis plants reaching almost 2 metres high and production equipment seized thanks to a local tip-off. The drug seized from a Whyalla Playford home on Thursday morning, leading to a 45-year-old male reported for trafficking.
So when they attended and searched the premises, they located 11 cannabis plants and about just over a kilo of dried cannabis.
Police have increased their efforts to stop the drug trade in the city with a current Crime Stoppers campaign named Dob a Dealer. That campaign aiming to stop the manufacture, supply and dealing of drugs in Australia, particularly in rural areas. Also hoping to prompt community members to come forward with any information on dealers.
Because of the harm to the community from crime and disorder and other factors with drug use, we ask the community to contact us if they have any information about people who could be growing or dealing in drugs, and they can do that through Crime Stoppers.
Crime Stoppers say Australia has one of the highest rates of illegal drug use per capita in the world, and Whyalla police aren't taking these offences lightly. The man is expected to appear in Whyalla Court at a later date. Senior Sergeant Fillmore says if caught, you can face a hefty punishment.
If convicted of these offences, then it is punishable by imprisonment.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
South Australia's Rail, Tram and Bus Union visited Port Lincoln this week, campaigning to save the Eyre Peninsula's railway. Members visiting local businesses and homes in an attempt to gain support.
It's an attempt to save this century-old railway, 1 month until it's meant to close.
I can't understate the massive concern that we have for the community here once the railway line's closed.
It comes after Viterra announced earlier this year they were discontinuing use of the railway to transport grain, the company transitioning into a road-based supply chain.
The closure of the railway line will increase the number of trucks on the roads to levels not seen before in Port Lincoln.
Members from the union visiting local businesses and homes trying to gain support in saving the railway, handing out postcards like these for residents to sign and mail to the federal member.
Hopefully this will change the view of Rowan Ramsey and starting to support funding for rail.
It seems crazy to be putting all these extra trucks on the roads.
The government announcing last month they'll be investing $100 million in upgrading roads, but the union says that money could be better spent elsewhere.
The logical thing to do is to fix up the rail in a condition where it's safe and transport without any impact on the roads and the community.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Port Augusta Flying Club has welcomed an upgrade to its airstrip worth over $150,000. The improvement is also set to significantly aid the air bombing operations of local fire authorities.
Chocks away. Port Augusta's local airstrip has been given a makeover.
We've made an improvement on it, so $150,000 worth of work on here.
Flinders Power funding a 900-metre upgrade to the airstrip, which they have used over the last 3 years for the aerial application of dust suppressant on the old power station site.
You know, there's a couple of thousand takeoffs and landing, and it sort of damaged the surface here.
Previously a clay surface, the upgraded airstrip now has a limestone base, making it easier for these planes to land in all weather conditions.
If we get rain like we've had in the last couple of days, we can still use the strip. Prior to that, any rain like that would have been made the strip unserviceable.
While the 25 members in the Flying Club are licking their lips at the thought of more leisure travelling.
Oh look, it's going to be a great thing.
The local CFS says the airstrip upgrade will help its air bombing operations in outback fires.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's beneficial on many fronts for us.
The fire authority's also receiving an extra $10,000 for much-needed upgrades at the station. Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
An adventurous duo from the Mid-North has smashed a local record, being the fastest to ever complete the 488-kilometre York Trail. The adventure took a different turn though when hiker Alan Clark came to the rescue of a beach dolphin.
Always looking to quench their thirst for adventure, Quentin Vanderwerf and Alan Clark of In the Flinders decided to tackle the York Track. An almost 500-kilometre walk from Port Wakefield to Moonta Bay.
We knew it would be dramatic, we knew it would be exciting, we knew little things would crop up that would be interesting to us.
But that trip took a sudden turn when Quentin's knee gave in at the 259-kilometre mark near Marion Bay.
And I thought we'd just give it a go and see what happens, and we knew it'd be a chance that the knee wouldn't hold up, but you never know until you give it a go.
Determined to persevere, Alan took on the remaining half solo, Quentin taking over a support role. The hiccups weren't over though, with Herdwick Bay presenting another challenge. Alan spotting the outline of a beach dolphin and he knew he had to help.
Wait. I'll look after you, mate. You're right.
Mustering his strength, as you can see here, Alan was finally able to set the distressed animal free.
Probably talking to his mates in the dolphin pub, having a beer and discussing this experience that he's had.
Just 2 days ago, Alan was successful in finishing the walk, all 488 kilometres of it. He's not only conquered the Ks, he's also claimed the fastest known time of 8 days, 11 hours and 38 minutes. No doubt at his own local pub discussing his own experience. Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, we meet the latest graduates from UniSA, and Elvis is in town and he's ready to rock and roll in Port Pirie. Welcome back. The Eyre Peninsula's home hospice service is guaranteed for another year, with the program just extended. Providing palliative care out of hours, the service relies heavily on volunteers and registered nurses.
It's specialised home care for those at the end of their journey.
And the nice thing for the community is it allows people to have a choice of actually spending their final days, their home, or rather than going into hospital.
The service being renewed for another year in partnership with Eyre Peninsula Community Foundation and Matthew Flinders Home. Fundraising and community support helping to keep the service running for over 2 years.
We're very proud of the commitment that we have and the agreement we have with Matthew Flinders Home in allowing our community members the option of end-of-life care in their own home.
Since 2017, over 20 families in the region have used home palliative care. Leonie and her family using the service for her mother-in-law's final hours.
She wanted to be in her little house that she loved, and she was indeed surrounded by her family when she did pass away.
Mike McGowan says the foundation has been trying to develop the service further, with plans to refurbish a unit at the Matthew Flinders Home to provide palliative care.
That will allow us to take individuals from outside of Port Lincoln and give them an option and a choice of where they might want to spend their last days.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The latest group of students at UniSA's Whyalla campus officially graduated at a ceremony this morning. An exciting day for the campus, with graduates earning degrees in various fields of study.
After years of hard work and long nights, a well-deserved applause for the UniSA Whyalla campus class of 2019. These graduates were handed their hard-earned degrees this morning as proud parents and staff attended in support. Over 40 graduates from a range of courses are ready to step into the world and launch their careers.
We had a mix of nursing graduates, an engineering honours student, and also a mix of teachers. And so it was a really good cross-section.
Vice-Chancellor David Lloyd says regional campuses are a significant part of the University of South Australia and offer a crucial learning experience for students as they take on different challenges with support from rural communities.
It's in the name, University of South Australia. Without the regions, we don't have our state, and so it's very, very good. We've been here for over 50 years. The relationship we have with the community is fantastic.
And the students also agree that regional learning is beneficial for student-to-teacher ratios.
You get a lot more one-on-one time with your lecturers, and I find it's just much more of a personal relationship that you have with the educators. So yeah, it's really beneficial, I think, to study regional. I think there's a lot of benefits.
Class is smaller, you get a bit more attention. If you need a bit more help, you can definitely get that here in Whyalla.
And celebrations were the order of the afternoon as they begin their transition into full-time employment. Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
One of Australia's most iconic Elvis impersonators, Dean Vegas, is now the proud new owner of Port Pirie's Ellen Hotel. The new self-proclaimed King of Port Pirie, hoping to add a touch of Memphis to the town's high street.
Elvis has bought the building, and he's done it dressed in traditional white and adorned with sequins. Dean Vegas, the new proud owner of Port Pirie's Ellen Hotel.
There's not many hotels that look like this. If you wanted to buy a Hilton or a Sheraton, that's fair enough, but to buy something of this quality is very, very hard to find.
The iconic Elvis impersonator hoping to add a touch of Graceland to the Mid-North.
I'd like to have a lot of memorabilia all over the place. So, and in the future, we're slowly doing that, and we're changing the menus. We've got a new chef coming.
From the Sunshine State, Dean has lived a fulfilled life, even once running for mayor of the Gold Coast. But nothing outshines his love for the King.
Elvis had charisma, style, he could sing, he can act, there is no one that what I call the full package. No one in the world has a full package like Elvis.
Mr. Vegas excited about what he can bring to the town.
Already we've had talks about doing a Elvis and Friends concert in Port Pirie and tying it in with rock and roll.
Thank you for having me here. God bless you all, and see you at the Ellen, or should I call it the Elvis? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. The countdown's almost over for Rev Heads in Port Augusta, and Brit will have all your weekend weather. Hello again. Port Augusta engine enthusiasts are gearing up to host their motor show event, which is due to be held in just over a week's time. Land, air and sea vehicles all penciled in as entertainment. This year is shaping up to be the biggest yet.
Sandwiched between two of the new generation, this 1970s Ford GT is extremely rare. It's the only make in this colour in the entire country. But regardless if you're a fan of the vintage cars or the latest models, the Port Augusta Motor Show has got you covered.
It can be all types of cars, anything from 1901 to 2019.
Also have had a lot of interest in bikes.
Held every 2 years, the Motor Club is fine-tuning preparations ahead of next weekend's event.
So we're looking to around 150 entries on the day, obviously the weather permitting.
Spread across the Wharflands Esplanade, onlookers will be able to satisfy their need for speed with entertainment on land, air and sea.
We've got Chris Baru, he's a 13-time Australian champion, coming doing some aerobatics in his plane.
Tickets can be purchased online or on the day, with part of the proceeds to be donated to the Leukemia Foundation.
We always try to help them out because there's people in need there.
So we're on the base of the beautiful Flinders Ranges, so it should be a great day out.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Now let's hear from the footy buffs with this weekend's tips.
Hello and welcome to round 2 of SGL football. This round sees West taking on Port at Central Oval in Port Augusta. Both teams will be looking for a win after losses in round 1. I'm tipping Port. At Port Augusta's Etzer Oval, it's Central hosting the Lions. Both sides had wins in round 1, with Lions the most impressive, booting 16 goals in their win over Port. I'm tipping the Lions. In Pirie, it's the grand final rematch from last season, with Solly up against South at the redeveloped Memorial Oval. South have lost some of their scoring power from last season, but are still rock solid down back. Sollies were inaccurate last week, kicking 3 goals 17, and we'll need to sharpen this up if they're the trouble south. I'm tipping south.
Friday night football in Whyalla, it's Aruna Bay versus North Whyalla. North going along fairly well. They had a good win last week, and I think the Magpies should win. Saturday's game, clearly the match of the round. West Whyalla versus Central Whyalla. Both teams undefeated, kicking big scores. Hard to pick this one, but we'll stick with the reigning premiers in West. And finally on Sunday, it's South Whyalla versus Rapina. Both teams yet to have a win, so someone's going to sing the song on Sunday, and I think it'll be the Roos.
Welcome to Port Lincoln Footy Tips. We kick things off with Waybacks hosting Boston's at Centenary Oval. Waybacks, being the grand finalists from last year, should be too strong in this game. I'm tipping Waybacks to win by 3 goals. The next game, we've got a venue change. We've got Mallee Park hosting Lincoln South at Poole Oval. Lincoln South had a good win last week, and Mallee Park have a few players out with suspension. In saying this, I still think Mallee Park will be too strong and win this one by 4 goals. In the final game, we've got Tasman's hosting Marlborough Range at Ravendale Oval in a night game, kicking off at 6:30pm. Tasman's, being the premiers from last year, should be too strong. I'm tipping Tasman's to win this one by 2 goals.
Here's Britt for the latest weather details. And Britt, what can we expect over the coming days?
Well, Louise, we can expect patchy fog but a mostly fine weekend, with showers about some parts not unlike today. 21 was the top for Port Augusta and Whyalla today, both partly cloudy. Port Lincoln and Port Pirie both saw tops of 20 with some showers. It was 19 and sunny at Broken Hill and 18 in Adelaide. To the satellite now, with the low pressure system weakening as it moves east. A ridge of high pressure in the west will move in our direction tomorrow, with a cold front coming our way early next week. On the waters, westerly winds tending northwesterly at up to 25 knots, with seas at 1.5 metres. Sunrise is due at 7:03 in the morning, with sunset at 5:43. As I mentioned, we'll see patchy morning fog over most parts tomorrow. Port Augusta with a partly cloudy top of 20, the same for Corn and Kadina. Woodna expecting quite a bit of fog with a maximum of 20 degrees as well. Port Pirie also reaching 20 with a possible morning shower. Whyalla, Broken Hill and Port Lincoln all with tops of 19, Cleve 18, Coffin Bay and Clare both 17. Ahead to Sunday now, also looking into next week. Port Lincoln remaining fine through the weekend. Monday sunny with a top of 21. The cold front bringing showers on Tuesday. Cleve 19 on Sunday, Monday 22. Woodna 21 on Sunday, Monday sunny and 23. Whyalla with a sunny start to next week. Sunday a top of 20 degrees, Monday 22. Port Augusta with maximums in the early to mid-20s, Kadina 21 on Monday. Port Pirie, nice and sunny Sunday and Monday. Clare much the same, and Broken Hill with tops in the late teens over the coming days. And Louise, that's all from me.
That's great. Thanks for that, Britt. And that's your local news this week. And it's also the last day for John Hunt working on the road in Whyalla. But he's not leaving us all together. He'll still be around soon to join me here on the desk. Have a great weekend. Good night.